Hello friends! Are you ready for another adventure? Today we're traveling to an amazing South American country, Argentina. Did you know that the official sport of Argentina used to include a duck? Don't go anywhere to find out more. Also, if you want to learn more about Argentina, don't forget to download the activity pack in the description below. You can also watch our video about Patagonia. Now let's get on with the video. Argentina is located at the south end of South America. It's the second largest country in South America and the 8th in the entire world. It's surrounded by 4 countries and 1 ocean: Bolivia, Paraguay, and Uruguay to the north, Chile to the west, and the Atlantic Ocean to the east and south. Before we go any further, let's talk about the Argentine flag. The white color in the flag represents silver. This refers to the poetic name of the territory, while the 2 light blue stripes represent the sky or the waters of the Rio de la Plata. The sun in the middle of the flag was added by the Congress of Tucumán and represents the Inca's sun god, Inti. Now what about the language? In addition to Spanish, which is the official language of Argentina, there are more than 20 languages that are still used in certain regions. The 2 most important are Guarani and Quechua. These languages are spoken by more than 1 million inhabitants. Talking about the language and people in Argentina, we have to mention how they greet each other. Well, Argentinians always greet each other with a kiss. They love to show their affection. Argentines also like to greet older people first by shaking hands and looking into their eyes with a smile. Without a doubt, looking into their eyes indicates respect. Generally speaking, Argentines are sincere and direct, while they are polite and diplomatic. Now let's move on to what Argentinians like to do, especially how they like to dance. Yes, I'm talking about tango! It's a very unique dance that you might have seen before in movies or TV, or maybe even with your parents. Tango dance is closely linked to the dances of Afro, Rio de la Plata, Gaucho, and European dances and rhythms. It's a characteristic dance from the Rio de la Plata region, mainly in Buenos Aires and Montevideo. It is a very expressive dance. It's like a fire between 2 people. And if you pay attention, it might look like a conversation between the dancers. And just like any other dance in the world, the way tango dancers dress is very important. The clothing is based on a combination between elegance and sensuality. The male dancer always wears a suit with either a tie or bow tie. They also wear suspenders and sometimes even trilby or fedora hats. How elegant! The female dancer usually wears a red or black dress. It might look a bit tight, but this dress gives the dancer enough space to dance freely. It's also very common for the dancer to wear a distinctive garter belt on one of her legs. If you want to try this dance one day, just remember not to wear jeans or sneakers. That won't be received well by the audience. Another very traditional Argentinian thing is not related to a dance, but to a drink. I'm talking about mate. Yes, that's how you say it, mate. One of the most important traditions of Argentina is drinking mate, which is a tea made from a dry herb called mate. It's prepared in a metal and wooden cup with a silver straw. This cup is known as cailla, guampa, or porongo. Mate has a flavor similar to green tea, just a little stronger. It helps you feel energized and it stimulates neurons and promotes brain activity, conscious perception, memory, and reasoning. That's awesome! While mate is native to Argentina, it's also very popular in South American countries like Paraguay and Uruguay. But the coolest thing about this tea is the meaning behind it. Offering someone to take a sip from your cup of mate is a symbol of friendship and hospitality. The tea is so popular that even some soda companies decided to make their own mate flavored drink, like Raiki, Che Mate, or Nativa, which was released by Coca-Cola. Unfortunately for them, all these drinks failed because basically nobody liked them. I guess Argentinians prefer the traditional good old mate tea. And speaking about what Argentinians like, let's talk about their favorite food. We'll start with Argentine empanadas, Argentina's favorite street food. Historically, an empanada was a simple bread dough filled with beef, pork, or veal. The empanada was once known as the worker's meal. That's because it contained a full meat that was easy to bring to work. This tasty dish baked or fried and can have vegan or meat ingredients. The most common fillings include chicken, cheese, ham, beef, sweet corn, caprese salad, or blue cheese. Another great option for street food is the choripan. It's also served as a starter to a barbecue. Choripan is basically a chorizo sandwich, but thanks to its practical shape, is an ideal snack for travelers on the go. Choripan is basically a sausage sandwich, but thanks to its practical shape, it's an ideal snack for travelers on the go. If you want some extra flavor, you can add chimichurri, a sauce made with oregano, parsley, garlic, chili flakes, and red wine vinegar. or a Creole sauce, a variant of tomato, onion, and red pepper. Something we can't forget when talking about food is the milanesa. This dish with Italian roots is basically breaded chicken breast served in some very unique ways, like the style called a caballo or on horseback in English, in which the milanesa is served with 2 fried eggs on top, the Neapolitan style, which includes cheese, tomato sauce, and the Swiss style, in which the milanesa is covered with gruyere cheese. Now the best part, desserts! And this is something that Argentinians are super good at, like the alfajores. This traditional pastry is a sandwich made with 2 delicate cookies and creamy dulce de leche caramel in the middle. Wait a minute, what is dulce de leche? Known in English as caramelized milk or milk jam, is a sauce-like sweet prepared by slowly heating sugar and milk over a period of several hours. I know, it doesn't sound too appetizing, but trust me, it's amazing. But there's more in Argentina than fun people and delicious food. There's also a lot of great places you can visit. The west of the country you can find the Andes mountain range, where you will find one of the largest peaks in the world, the Aconcagua mountain, located right in the middle of Argentina and Chile at almost 23,000 feet high. The Aconcagua is the highest mountain in the Americas. But if you want to see less cold and more magical places, in the province of Cordoba, there's a small town called Villa General Belgrano, where you can find beautiful buildings with classic German architecture. In this charming town, you can also find artisanal beer, delicious sausages, and sauerkraut, and even the classic German festival Oktoberfest. All that while being surrounded by incredible mountains. If you travel to the east, you will find the mythical neighborhood La Boca, located in the city of Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital. In La Boca, you can find not only old businesses that go back to the first years when immigrants arrived in the country, but also a lot of beautiful, colorful buildings that give you a warm and cozy vibe. But what if you like the natural landscapes more? Well, then you'll love the Iguazú Falls. It's one of the largest waterfalls in South America, and a national park that has several hectares of surface. A train that takes you from one place to the other, monkeys and coyotes running freely among the people, and much more. A truly unique landscape. Have you heard about the arayanes trees? Well, in the Villa de la Angostura, there's a forest full of them called Los Arayanes National Park. Here you can walk on a path surrounded by these beautiful thin trees. And last but not least, there's Patagonia, a geographical region that comprises the southern section of the Andes Mountains, lakes, fjords, and glaciers in the west, and deserts, tablelands, and steppes to the east. If you want to know more about this majestic place, don't miss our next video. Now that we're mentioning the beautiful landscapes in Argentina, let's talk about the animals who live here. And a great example of Argentinian wildlife is the aguará guazú. Although it's known as a maned wolf in English, it's actually a fox with comically large legs, known as the largest fox in South America. This furry friend lives in the provinces of Formosa, Chaco, Santa Fe, and Corrientes in the northeast of the country, in the flood-prone areas. This fox with long and beautiful red fur is known in the Toba mythology as a protective being and the father of all dogs. In the Guarani language, aguaraguasu means big fox. Now look at this guy. The giant anteater is recognizable by its elongated snout, bushy tail, long foreclaws, and distinctively colored pelague. It can be found in the missionary jungle, Formosa, and other Chaco areas. The Magellanic penguin is super cute, and also one of the most sympathetic and defenseless species of penguins that can still be found in its natural habitat. It's also called, depending on the place, pachanca, or child bird, or silly bird, and it's native to the most southern region of America. And this is the incredible jaguar. It is the third largest feline after the tiger and the lion. It belongs to the panther family and is sadly one of the most threatened species. Also known as jaguar, it lives in the provinces of Misiones, Formosa, Chaco, and Jujuy. Now let's talk about something a little bit more dynamic. Sports! Argentinians are very passionate about soccer, and I mean very passionate. If you start a conversation about soccer, don't be surprised if some of them fire up expression about it, especially if you don't agree. Argentina has won the FIFA World Cup not once, but twice. And one of the soccer players that played a major role in one of those finals was Diego Armando Maradona. Maybe you've heard of him. He's recognized by numerous specialists, former soccer players, and international personalities as one of the best soccer players in history. But of course, there's more than soccer here. Other sports in which Argentina stands out worldwide are motor racing, basketball, boxing, golf, speed skating, polo, rugby, tennis, and volleyball. Winter sports are widely practiced in the southern Andean area of the country, especially skiing and snowboarding. But believe it or not, the national sport of Argentina has nothing to do with soccer. The name is pato, which means duck. It's an equestrian sport that was created in the 17th century as a form of neighbors' play, or rather rivalry between farms. And in 1953, it was declared by Argentina as their national sport. This sport is played with two teams of 4 players each, where they have to hold a ball with leather straps and take it to their base. All this while riding a horse. It's named pato because originally the sport was played with a real duck in a leather basket instead of a ball with straps. Good thing the sport was changed. Hey, what about the music? We can't talk about Argentina without mentioning their contributions to the music world, especially their contribution to the rock genre. Argentine rock stands out in the history books and in our ears for maintaining an independent spirit since its inception. Despite being inspired by other countries like the US and UK, it took its own shape and served as the foundation for the most successful industry in that part of the continent. And probably the most famous Argentinian composer is Gustavo Cerati. Thanks to his work with the band Soda Stereo, Cerati represented the freedom of democracy during the 80s and 90s, with lyrics about strange dreams and lost romances. Cerati transformed pop and international rock by mixing it with the roots of his country create definitive hymns of his time. Another great example of Argentinian music is Luis Alberto Spinetta, also known as El Flaco Spinetta. He's considered the definitive rock poet and one of the founders of Argentine rock, since he was one of the first to bring the genre to South America. Now, changing the genre a little bit, we have to talk about Mercedes Sosa. She's an icon of Argentine folk music, also a very popular music genre in the country, and a permanent influence on both the protest music and literature of the nation. Mercedes Sosa created a unique sound with lyrics full of pain and wisdom. And speaking of music, we can't ignore the St. Patrick's Festival, can we? You might know this famous Irish holiday, since there are a lot of Irish descendants in Argentina. They love to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, known in Spanish as El Día de San Patricio. The festival takes place in Buenos Aires and around March 17th. And here's another popular celebration that you also know about: Christmas. Christmas in Argentina is very similar to what we know. Families get together on Christmas Eve to have a big dinner and give each other gifts. But here's the main difference. There's no cold weather during Christmas. Because Argentina is in the southern hemisphere, the weather is completely opposite to what we know. That means that it's cold in July and hot in December. Can you imagine celebrating Christmas with a warm day at the beach? Speaking of weather, due to the enormous extent of the country, the weather may vary too much in different parts. The warm climate occurs only in the north of the country, and it's called subtropical, since it's mostly located below the Tropic of Capricorn. But if you visit the south part of the country and Patagonia, prepare your warm clothes because the climate is really cold. Now that we're talking about the clothing you must wear when visiting Argentina, let's mention their traditional outfits. Typical Argentinian costume for men is called gaucho, and for women is called paisana or china. These attires consist of a hat, black pants, shirt, vest, and sandals for men, and a hat, brightly colored skirts, poncho bow at the waist, and heels for women. They look great, don't you think? Well, friends, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and remember that if you liked our videos, don't forget to subscribe to see more. Adios, amigos!